Welcome back to the Learn with Dylan show. Today, I am very, very excited to have two amazing guests on that I've reached out to that are probably the best communication experts that I personally know in the field. We have Toddy, who is a vocal coach. Welcome, Toddy.
Thank you, Dylan. Thanks for having me.
And then we have Reece, who is a communication expert. Now, just to jump straight into it. So, Reece, can you give a little bit of intro of who you are, what you do, what you specialize in, and then we'll jump onto Toddy.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Reece. I'm the owner of Progress Playground, which is a speech and communication platform that allows professionals and everyone of all sorts of ages to speak with influence and poise. And I started this from a long, tedious but yet exhilarating career in acting. And I realized that everything in acting is applicable to real life, or almost everything in acting is applicable to real life. And now I'm here teaching some of those techniques as well as other techniques that I learned from some pain. But I'm sure we'll get into that a bit later.
And Toddy, you?
Yeah. Hi, my name's Toddy, or Todd Keys, and I'm the owner and founder of 3T's Vocal Academy. Essentially, I teach young and aspiring artists how to use their voice effectively, whether that's being for getting into professional musicals or a karaoke competition, public speaking. I also am a trained vocal health first aider, so I actually work with a lot of clientele who are going through rehabilitation with vocal issues, whether that be through after they've seen an ENT and been diagnosed with certain things, polyps, granulomas, what have you. And I help them with rehabilitation and recovery. So which is a massive, massive part of my job, just helping people learn more about how to use their voices effectively.
I love that. And you know what? There's probably a few people out there that actually don't know Toddy used to be my client when I was a personal trainer. That's how now I'm learning from you today. So I'm really looking forward to it. I got you and Reece on here because I thought you guys would get along really well as well.
Yeah, I'm already loving the dulcet tones of Reece. I'm like, oh, a fellow bass.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking from the pits of the stomach.
Yeah. You're obviously a singer as well, Reece, is that correct?
Oh, that's interesting. I'm an actor I was an actor that could sing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm a singer. I wouldn't embarrass myself because once Dylan gets me to give a little taste of my singing skills, I might just shut down this podcast. So let me not do
that. Look, I know a guy who can help you with that, Reece. Oh, very funny.
Quick plug. I'm here, man.
So those a few main things that I wanted to run through and get your expertise, your personal stories, practical tips that have helped you and your clients, and that can obviously help our listeners as well, around obviously becoming the best communicator they can. So the three main pillars we're going to run over is the voice as a muscle. So efficiency versus efforts, mind-body connection, so how our state affects how we move, think, and connect. And then the final one would be communication as performance. So one key insight or lesson you wish more people understood. So Toddy, I'll let you roll out first. So can you explain a little bit about the voice as a muscle? Keeping it broad.
So here's a little myth buster.
Yeah.
Voice acts like a muscle, but it's actually not one. So all the, it's ligaments and layers, the vocal folds I'm talking about here, but everything around it. Yeah, your suspensory muscles and, how we elevate the larynx and how we utilize our vocal tract, to shape our sound for resonance and how we move sound. That's kind of, the I guess the biological aspect of the voice and how we use it. And moreover, which is, I think, with this beautiful crossover that I've noticed with Reece, moreover, I like to look at, you guys are aware of Venn diagrams, yes? So
Yeah.
we can look at a Venn diagram with like biology. Yeah, biology.
That's right.
We can, so like I guess your physical state, the environment, accents and whatnot. And then we can have like a biopsycho social. So the psycho would be your head and your heart, your thoughts and your feelings, your levels of confidence, anxiety, stresses, and then that sort of social, aspect is your job. Are you a teacher using your voice all the time? And then going out to a football club and hooray, and so when we think of voice use, I try not to just look at it as muscular in its original state, but as a holistic aspect of who the person is, their background, their upbringing, their thoughts, their feelings, their levels of hydration, their diets, reflux. It's really, you can actually branch out quite a lot when we talk about the voice. And so when I have young singers who come to me to go, I want to, become better at singing, half of my battle is to get them to a state of comfort, and not necessarily vocal comfort to begin with, but like a neurological state, like their nervous system. Yeah, because everybody walks in with some form of tension or expectation of what they think they should sound like or what they want to sound like, and how I'm going to go about that. So, we have to play games and use different active methods of engagements to, or breathing techniques, nice and simple. Like I have done singing lessons for some clients where the first 4 or 5 lessons ain't no music happening, no singing. Like it's a relationship building sort of experience. It's quite, it's really, really intriguing depending on who that person is. So, yeah. And then finding their unique voice. Like it's not about, a lot of people want to sound a certain way, but for me, it's also about like, well, what is your voice? Like, what is your, without tension, without restrictions, what does that sound like? And then how do we help you emote that or use emotions and thoughts to then communicate, effectively in your, your natural vocal state. So yeah, that's started branching out myself then. But yeah, that is, I guess, the first thing I would suggest to anyone listening. If they want to know more about their voice, it's a big journey about learning more about who you are as a human, where you come from, what your thoughts are, what your feelings are, who you engage with on a day-to-day, how you respond to certain situations, what your triggers are on an emotional level, how you respond to anxiety and nerves, and especially auditions. That's why auditions, it's ridiculous. Like 99% of us go in there wanting to get the job, obviously, but all of a sudden we mask up, shield up, and we're pretending to be someone that we're not, hoping that, well, they must be looking for this sort of a person, because we just genuinely don't believe that we could be good enough. So we have all these mental tensions and emotional gripping moments on the voice which restrict us. Yeah. So I spend a lot of time helping people unpack those thoughts, unpack those feelings, and helping them come up with their own Venn diagram. Because in the middle, in that overlap of those, those circles, the biopsychosocial model is vocal health. Yeah. And how that impacts on you, and how it impacts on Reece, or how it impacts on Dylan, or how it impacts on me is completely different. They're all completely unique to the voice user.
I love that. I'd love to add a little thing onto that, and then I'll jump to you, Reece, and get your thoughts on the same question. So remember, Toddy, how I shared that reel with you recently about the guy who was freaking out that he realized what his true voice was?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you
Yep.
can you explain that? I thought that was very, very interesting.
Yeah, so he had been responding to, I think, like, he's quite high pitched, and he was sort of, almost had an accent, and this is who he was, and his heart rate was elevated, and he didn't want to, to tread on anyone's toes, and the way he responded, wanted everybody to like him and like
Mm,
his responses, and then all of a sudden, I think I forget exactly whether he did some lessons or did some
mm,
research. And next minute, he started to release all these gripping patterns or these maladaptive behaviors that he had inadvertently learnt, over a period of years, which is why his voice was a certain way. He inadvertently, once he started to release those mechanisms, his voice dropped like 3 or 4 tones, and it was kind of like, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Troy McClure." Like, it's a complete
Yeah.
change. It was remarkable, absolutely remarkable.
It really makes you think about your own voice and how much you mold it over years to maybe be liked or to come across friendly. That's one thing that I thought about after watching that reel. And one thing that hopefully Toddy, I'm sure Toddy knows, Vin Yang, one of my favorite, or our favorite communication experts, he talks about your vocal image is just learned behaviors. So you've learned to be confident or you've learned to be shy.
Yeah.
And it just takes time and repetition to go the other way.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And the journey of unpacking that is, neurological first and foremost, and then emotional, secondary to that. And then the last thing becomes, the technique of learning how your voice sounds, becoming used to that, and then connecting with breath to see how we can shape it and turn it into, or how we use it, for communication, whether that's singing or acting, or even just a one-on-one communication. How we communicate to, get our point across, or have our partner understand us, or our kids understand the importance without coming across as just being, angry or frustrated. Or it's quite true though. Yeah.
We could definitely talk a lot on tone, but we'll
Yeah.
jump to Reece now. Reece, I'd love to get your thoughts, your insights, any stories, any practical tips that you can explain around efficiency versus efforts.
Yeah, sure. I wanted to pull off the neuroscience part. It was really
Yeah.
interesting when you actually, because there was one client that I worked with. She was quite reclusive, quite shy, very internal. And over time, I was thinking, okay, how do we get her to be more expressive? How do we get her to open up a bit more? And we went through this, let's say, hypnotherapy process. And within this process, what happened is just to give you a brief background on this lovely lady, she was using scripts going into her meetings, basically. So she was a physiotherapist. She was using scripts to remember. She was remembering these scripts to when she was speaking to her clients, speaking to her bosses. And every time she would forget the script, she would have to run to the toilet and go through the script again. And it was horrible. What a way to, it's not a good way to live at all, of course.
Yeah.
So what we did is we recognized that there was one time where she had this ultra successful public speech in front of everyone. Great. Magical moment right there. So what did we do? In that moment, I got her to close her eyes, relax, of course, and go back to that state where she felt the energy of everyone cheering her on. She felt confidence for the first time in her life. She was hearing the sound of everyone saying, all of this. really connecting to the visual, the auditory, and the kinesthetic. And afterwards, so what we did is we got to do an impromptu speech beforehand. After this experience, this visceral experience, my gosh, she was a completely different person.
Yeah.
It was incredible, incredible. So what I realized there, and this is common truth that people spout this all over the internet, is the mind can't determine between what's fake or what's made up and what's reality at times. So if you go back to this moment, you're feeling everything. You're feeling the sound, you're hearing the sound, you're feeling the let's say the confidence, you're feeling everything. So automatically you're shifted. So that was one interesting moment which I realized, and I was thinking, wow, this is really powerful. So thank you. Thank you. That was an amazing experience. So I want everyone to take this away. You can completely shift your mood within seconds at times. If you feel that you lack in confidence at a moment, take the time to breathe, pause, and go back to a moment where you felt super confident, where you felt the charisma of James or Janet Bond, and play with that.
Yeah.
And yes, you might not feel 100% confident of being able to fly, thinking that you can fly. No, but if it gives you a 10% or 20% confidence boost, that's better than nothing. So that's my tip to everyone.
I will agree 1000% with that. And if people are looking for an example, go out to a karaoke night and watch someone who's had a couple of drinks. Yeah. I mean this, they might not even be a fantastic singer, but if they are having the time of their life and they've got that little bit of Dutch courage and they're just wanting us to have as much fun as they're having, they can be completely tone deaf, but we still engage with them on an emotional level and we're happy for them and we're go the underdog, even if their singing is the worst singing you've ever heard. It's not about that. It's actually about their state of mind and how their voice flourishes. So it's real. That's such a good point though, that self-validation, and because that's it, thoughts and feelings, when we think about like confirmation bias, they're just thoughts, they're just feelings, and generally, they can be changed. Just because you're having that thought or having that feeling doesn't necessarily mean it's true.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. It's absolutely the same with negative emotions and thoughts and feelings as well. You aren't your thoughts. I don't want to turn this into a spiritual, psychological podcast.
That's all right. I welcome it. I welcome it.
Yeah. But we really aren't our thoughts. Our thoughts are just a culmination of life experiences. And sometimes these life experiences are lies. Sometimes we make up fake memories as well. The time when I might have tripped over as a kid, all I remember is the pain. That's all I remember. And I remember seeing the scar as well. But I don't remember the people that were looking over me. I don't remember my mom reaching out and holding me in her arms. I will just focus on the pain. So sometimes that lies in your head. And we just need to remember that we aren't our thoughts. We really aren't.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. In fact, when Dylan's like, what's the one takeaway you want people of the podcast? I was like, your mood is messing with you. Like, true story. Breath pattern, muscle tension, how you how your vocal tract is shaped. Like, if I'm tired, you'll hear my voice sort of drop, and I'm under energized and whatnot. Like the voice changes, based off what your mood is. The end.
The end. 100%. 100%.
I'd love to continue it on there, Toddy, because we are up to the second pillar, which is mind-body connection. So I feel like this is a perfect time to talk about how our state affects how we move, speak, and connect. Can you expand on that a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. So, let's just take confidence, as a thought and a feeling. How do we, when you're dressed confidently and you've got the polished boots and we've had a shave and the hair has been done and the expensive aftershave and we're going out for the night, with the boys or the girls or your partner or whoever, all of a sudden the voice is a little bit louder, the posture, the way you hold yourself, your shoulders are back, and when you think about posture, your rib cage sort of expands once the sternum comes up, and if the intercostals come into play, the rib cage muscles, then the way you're breathing becomes, far more relaxed and more open. And so the whole upright system, if I can call it that, the upright system of being a human and standing tall and striding, it permeates it. You can see it on other people. Yeah. And so when you speak to someone who is in a confident state, they're genuinely happy to make eye contact with you, and there's pausing. So they're willing to listen to what you have to say. They're not talking over you. And, so mentally, they're feeling good about themselves. Emotionally, they're feeling good about themselves. And the voice responds. And all of a sudden, meeting people becomes, I think, like it's when two nervous systems are actually in sync. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, 100%.
I think that's what happens. I think someone's nervous system is feeling so good, and then all of a sudden, the other person who you're talking to or other group of people, they know by your tone and your behavior and how within the first few seconds, less, maybe a split second, they know, they're like, oh, I don't even know why I like this person, but I feel safe with this person, or I'm enjoying how this person, but they can also tell if the confidence is there's some arrogance here. Do you know what I mean? So the way the voice responds to your thoughts and your feelings, as I said before, it just sort of steamrolls. And then on the other end of the spectrum, if you're thinking about someone who, is they're tired and they're stressed and they've got, not sure how to pay for this bill, and the kid's crying, or they feel alone, their voice, their body language changes. They may not even have had the energy to, get dressed into something, and so all of a sudden they're like in tracksuit pants, and they've got to go and get the formula from for the baby from the shops, but they don't want to bump in to anybody, so their eyes are down, and kind of mumbled almost conversations, and so again, yeah, your mood is messing with your voice. So when you think of like a mind body voice connection, it's again, we could possibly do another Venn diagram about, your head, your heart, and your voice, and how that, all has this massive interplay with it. Like, I mean, how did your client Reece feel when you took her back to that memory, that emotional state?
A lot. You could see the white in her eyes. So
Yeah.
alert, correct posture. She felt
Yeah.
felt like a completely different person.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's-
and that's
Yeah, please.
it's just that, and that's a beautiful moment to give to someone, but then it's a beautiful moment to see how they respond to that, I guess, validation, self validation, or self self victory. Yeah, it's quite remarkable, and it took me. Let me go. I'll keep on going. It took me about 12 years to realize this. So when we want to talk about, not embarrassing moments, but like, something I struggled with, is I was that guy. I was that guy going to auditions, professional auditions, from the age of 18 to 30, and I had just got rejected from everything. Like, not even callbacks. Like, I was adding it up for a student the other day, and I was like 40 something rejections, 40, complete utter failures. And it made me feel like a failure. And it wasn't until I started my, I guess, holistic journey about, well, you can either be a quitter, Todd, or a loser. If they're your only two options, what are you going to be? And I chose to be a loser. I was like, well, quitting's not an option. So if all I have is these failed auditions, is that such a bad thing? And I was like, you know what? No, it's not. And that changed my mindset. I was like, so, because I started going into these auditions, going, well, there's no point in me trying to be someone else. I'm 6'2". I'm 100 kilograms. I'm now bald. Why am I trying to be the guy with the abs? Why am I trying to be the best dancer? Why am I trying to be the best singer? I'm not, and I'm not getting into anything. So why don't you just be the best Todd? Why don't you go in with some vulnerability? Why don't you just go in and be honest? Stop trying to be perfect. What is perfection anyway? And all of a sudden, it was like, you know what? I love performing. Love it. So if all I have is this 2 to 3 minutes in front of this panel with, these fluoro lights in this echoey room, if this is what it comes down to, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. And I am okay with me being me. And so my confirmation bias went from, I'm just a failure and I'm no good. And it no longer defined my talent. My failures no longer defined me. What defined me was my resilience of I'm not giving up. I'm not a quitter. I'm a loser, and I'm happy with that. So here is Todd. And all of a sudden, and I literally almost that, and this is what blew me away is and I was extremely tired for when this audition happened because I'd done an all night shift as a youth worker, and then drove 2 hours down to the Sydney Theatre Company. So I sort of went in. I wasn't rude. I wasn't arrogant. I was just like, I'm going to go in. I'm going to have heaps of fun and then get back out. And I'm so tired. I got no time for nerves. I sort of, I'm not even wearing the dancer pants or whatever. I'm like, oh, thanks. And cargos, and it's just me. Absolutely 100% authentically me. And I literally walked out of that room getting ready to hop in my car, and one of the the stage door managers came running out and was like, Todd, mate, can you just quickly come back in? We want to give you some sides, so don't leave just yet. And I was like, me, Todd? So it was a really quite an amazing experience. 12 years of failing, 12 years of rejection actually turned me in to the person I am today. That was how I got my first shot, because that's how I booked my first gig, going, oh, I don't have to be anything more than I am. And that is how my voice found its freedom, where I was happy or comfortable to show my vulnerability. Yeah, I was comfortable. My vulnerability of going, I don't think I'm the best in the world, but you know what I mean? Like that comfortability in just being who you are and sharing your truth, your perspective, your honesty in your voice. And then it changed my my complete life into to where I am today, basically. So yeah,
I love that. I remember you telling me that story, Toddy, and it's just amazing how far you've come.
Yeah. Well, I think it was one of my last professional shows, My Fair Lady, about 7 or 8 years ago, and I just had that moment of realizing that there was more that I wanted to do, and we were pregnant with my beautiful second child, and I was FaceTiming my little boy Hudson, and my poor wife, she was like 6-7 months pregnant, and then got Hudson on one lap, and oh hi, how's the tour going, kind of thing. I just had that moment of going, I love performing, but I really want to be present in my world. I want to be present as a dad, and present with my wife, and present with my children. My unborn child. And so it was just like a light bulb moment where I was like, I'm going to retrain and teach people how to do what I have just done, because it shouldn't take anyone 12 years to become who you need to become. If you're just needing to be validated, then I want to be that guy who helps you validate yourself, or learn how to validate yourself, to help you go and conquer your dreams, whatever that may be, So, and here I am, confidently and comfortably, 7-8 years since I sort of semi-retired from the musical theatre world of, Opera Australia and gallivanting around Australia. Had a great time, met my wife, but here we are. So
it was meant to be. It was meant to be. And I can tell that you're very passionate about it. I can tell your eyes are lighting up the same as Reece. I think we'll we'll skip the third question today because we are sort of running a little short on time. But I'd love to get you guys to just share like one last insight quickly that has helped you personally, and then just wrap up with where to reach you.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. There's a reason why I've named it Progress Playground, because we're playing around with our progress on the playground, of course. So what I've discovered in my time at drama school and my time at working at now is the, our default state is it being a child. And when we were children, we were playful. We were more expressive. We used our full range in our voice, whether it's screaming that we want to play PlayStation or whether it's using the depths of our voice when we're trying to, oh, mommy, or we're trying to convince them that we want that last cookie. And with our body as well, we need to be more expressive with our bodies, play around with our bodies. We were expressive with our bodies as a kid as well. So my advice to everyone is to be more playful, to be extremely playful. And if you feel uncomfortable doing this in public, of course, we can't speak like this in public, and we can't speak like this in public, and we can't be waving our hands around like a madman, but we can do that indoors. And what you'll find is you unlock something. You unlock something different, something new, fresh, beautiful, that you wouldn't have thought was there, but it's natural. It's you. So be more playful with your body language, with your gestures, with your voice, and you might discover a new version of you.
I love it. That hit home. I love it. I love it.
All right, Toddy, you've got a minute.
All right. So yeah, three T's Vocal Academy. Talent, technique, but the most important for me is the temperament. And if I have to leave you all with something, please know that regardless of your training, you are enough. As is right now in your current state of life, you are enough and you will be enough. Find some coaches that can help you become more if you wish, but you are enough.
I love that. Thank you so much for taking the time to jump on, guys. And I'll put both of your names in the show notes below.
Yeah, thank you, Dill. Thanks for
No worries at
organising
all.
it. Thank
That's
you for
okay.
coming. And you've been unwell as well. It's so lovely to meet you.
No worries.
You too, buddy. Honestly, it's an absolute pleasure.
All right. See you guys. Have a great one.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.